Hi everyone, this is Jeremy Scruggs here with Chrome Salazar. He's our poet that we'll be interviewing today, and we're just going to ask him some questions about himself. He's going to read us a poem, and we're going to learn a lot about him. So, tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right, so my name is Chrome Elijah Blue Salazar. A lot of people compliment my name. But apart from my name, let's see, I'm 22 years old. In fact, today's my birthday.
Oh, happy birthday.
Thank you. I'm 22 years old. I've been living in Baytown since I was 2 years old. I was born in Madison, Wisconsin. Came to Texas around like 3-ish years old. I graduated in 2015. I currently attend Lee College, which is where we're at right now. My major is physics, so despite me writing poetry, actually my main passion is physics. I've been interested in that since I was a little kid. While I've been here at Lee College, I'm part of the debate team here, and I've had success there. I was top 10 in the U.S. for speaker. I was top 8 in the state. I was the bronze national champion in D.C. So I've had my fair success within debate, but along with poetry as well. I've been in semifinals to try out for the Nats team at right about now. I've been on the radio once, and this is actually my first time doing an interview, so that's going to be really interesting.
So at what age did you first find yourself getting interested in poetry?
18 years old. It was my first year of college. I forgot why I decided to write these 3 poems, or I had these 2 poems. Somehow, I don't remember why I had them. I just remember I did. And then my Mexican-American studies professor, who's no longer here, his name was Orlando Lara. And whenever they had this thing called Stoetry Night, which is basically, it was like a little silent art gallery auction. And at the very end, they would have this little open mic kind of situation. So he was like, "You write?" I was like, I have this poem. He says, "You should perform." I was like, you know what? All right. I performed. I got a lot of really good feedback, and the rest is history.
Yeah, and so slam is basically what you do mostly,
yeah.
Right? And so,
I do strictly slam / spoken word.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what is the appeal behind slam? What about that?
That's actually a really good question. That's going to be really. I think a lot of people tend to appeal to slam because of the freedom that you have within slam, right? So usually whenever you're writing a poem, there's a kind of a structure, A, B, A, B, A, B, C, A, B, C, or whatever, there's a certain skeleton that you have to go by. Within slam, there is no, rhythm. It's just right. And because of that, there's so much you can do with that freedom that you have. And I think that's why a lot of people like it, because they enjoy that freedom. And whenever you're writing and you're able to get up on that stage and you're able to share that freedom, share your story, that's something that's really, really nice and really cool.
That's awesome. Do you have any poetic inspirations or?
Yeah, believe it or not, my dad actually writes. He doesn't perform anything. He just kind of writes He just kind of writes on the side for whenever he's bored. But despite him writing whenever he's bored, it's actually some of the best writing I've ever read. Not because he's my dad, just because the writing's actually legitimately amazing. It's honestly really impressive.
Well, that's really cool.
Yeah. So there's him, and then apart from actual poets, over at Right About Now, which is the place that I currently attend out in Houston, Christopher Diaz has been a really, really big inspiration. He's been a fantastic poet. Zach Blunt, and many, many, many others. There's way too many poets. One of the first poets I've ever saw, not seen in person, but just the videos. Of course, Neil Hilborn, Rudy Francisco, Rage Almighty. A lot of those people have had big impacts on my writing of poetry.
That's really cool. So this is a Mexican-American lit class, so we're going to be going into your background.
Yeah, that's fine.
Does your cultural background affect your poetry in any way, shape, or form?
Yeah, I would say definitely, because currently right now there's a lot of things going on in politics that involve Latinos
For sure.
and Mexican Americans and people of all sort of Latin background, and I think because of all these situations, I'm not going to dwell into politics and everything, but because of all these situations that are happening, there has been a need for writing, right? So this situation happens, these people are getting affected by it, so these people are going to write about it to show why this matters, right?
Yeah.
And I think whenever I was first writing, that was a lot of my writing. It was just like, this is affecting me, or not necessarily me specifically, but people that have Mexican American background, their families, their members, right? And I think that's what caused a lot of influence in my writing before I started writing kind of other stuff at the same time.
Yeah. Okay. So you are like you are Mexican, but you're not.
Yeah. I'm Mexican with Apache Indian background.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
I'm like 1/64th Cherokee or something.
Okay, so you're basically not Cherokee.
So how has it changed you, like, as a person?
Man, there is so many things. One, so the way I see poetry is the way I think about, like, learning about something, right? So say, for example, since I love politics, philosophy, science, right? So we'll just talk about politics really quick.
Okay.
So the reason it's so good to learn about politics and the world around you is because it makes you a better person, right? Once this situation happens within politics, you will then be able to learn how it affects you, right? And that's the important of knowing about politics, because you need to know the things that are happening around you, because it may affect you somehow, right? Whether it be laws that are passed within the federal government, within state, it doesn't matter, it's going to affect you somehow. Within science, right? You know, there's all these new discoveries that are happening, whether it be in the medical field, right? It's good to know that because it's going to affect your body somehow. So the same thing with poetry, right? The more you're able to see poetry, the more you're able to write poetry and see other great poets, it kind of makes you a better person, because usually what slam poetry is all about is that it's a story being shared, right? So a lot of my poems are something that has happened to me, right? Whether it be about politics, whether it be about relationships and love, whether it be about this, that, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it's still my story. And the fact that you're able to hear my story is what ultimately matters, because now you're able to get a glimpse of what I'm experiencing is right? And it's not just exclusively to me. There's a plethora of other people that are experiencing the exact same thing. So I'm trying to get a glimpse of that for the people, right? Open that door. Welcome. This is my story.
Awesome. Yeah, that's really cool. Do you expect to continue writing poetry in the future?
Definitely. I have no idea when, but there is this book that I plan on writing, and it's going to be called Chrome Salazar, Self-Inflicted Poetry Wounds.
Okay.
I have no idea when that book is going to come out. So, coming out to a place near you in 20-something, Chrome Salazar, Self-Inflicted Poetry Wounds.
Find it in your local bookstore.